Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here to rank the Friday the 13th movies in a way you have never seen. We are going to rank these films by the sleaze factor. That's right, from 12 all the way up to number 1, we're going to take a look at which one of these movies has the most nudity, the most sleaze factor, and it may not be the ones that you are thinking. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so ranking the Friday the 13th movies based upon nudity and sleaze factor. Like, you know, it's just a trope that goes along with these movies. A lot of 80s horror movies, 80s slashers in particular, but really just 80s horror, is the nudity kind of goes hand in hand. And for many years, we have just sort of assumed that one of these movies in particular was, well, let's just say it. It's been known to be sleazy because the director came from doing adult films, and that is A New Beginning Part 5. But I did a very, very, very deep dive, and we're going to find out if that reputation is earned or if it's just a reputation based on that guy coming from the type of films that he did. We're going to start out with the most benign, the most non-raunchy, sleazy, nudity-filled movie. And we're going to rank our way all the way up to the top with the most. And I think you're going to be surprised at some of these. And I don't know that they always go hand in hand with everyone's favorites. They kind of almost do with mine, although not. I'm going to put it over here so you don't get cheated. I got them in order so that you don't see it. But coming in at the bottom, this movie has absolutely no nudity. This movie, a matter of fact, could be PG-13. And that is Jason Lives. It has no nudity at all. It's a horror comedy spoof. I like this movie. It comes a little more towards the upper middle of the pack to me. A lot of people love this. I don't really get it. For me, nudity and the sex things, that kind of does go hand in hand with these types of movies. This erases it. It makes it a spoof. I mean, hell, we've got a 007 spoof opening, James Bond opening to this movie. There's things I like about it at the beginning and the end. Overall, it's a horror comedy spoof to me that doesn't quite fit, and it has none of the tropes of these movies, which means no nudity, no sex, no sleaze factor. It's a horror comedy in PG-13. I don't think it fits in Friday the 13th really well in as the franchise. There are parts of it that I really like. It's upper middle for me, but on this list, it comes in the bottom because it is squeaky clean. It comes in at number 12. Now, coming in at number 11 is another one that people love so much, and actually the more I watch this particular one, it kind of slides down for me. It does have just a little bit, tiny bit. We are talking Part 3, 3D. This has one shower scene where you see a little bit of side boob that is, and the camera is cropped right here, so the actress has to move just a certain way up or down for the, you know, for the nipples to come into frame, and she turns real fast one time. You catch a glimpse, and that's it. That's it. So it's missing that. And then there is something about this movie that I absolutely hate, which is a backstory implication of an assault. Let's just say it like that. That kind of maybe adds to the sleaze factor a little bit, but has absolutely no place whatsoever in the canon, in the story, in the franchise of Friday the 13th. Do you ever hint to Jason assaulting someone in the way that this woman is asserting? He punishes people that do those things. That's totally out of character. I friggin' hate that storyline. I like the warrior bikers okay if you cut them in and out of the movie, but you basically just set the whole other movie aside and go in for 15 minutes on them. And it just doesn't have any of those other factors. By the way, Jason runs his ass off in this movie a lot, and people hate that about the Derek Mears one that he ran. He runs a lot in this movie if you go back and watch it. But as far as nudity and sleaze, it's very skimpy, and I hate the one implication that adds to its sleaze factor at all, because I don't think it fits with Jason and Friday the 13th. But it comes down towards the bottom anyway at number 11. Now at number 10, we're starting to get into a little bit more, though most of what takes place here is there's a little bit of nudity, a little bit of skin at the beginning, and like one other spot in like a steamy shower scene right before someone gets killed as they're undressing or changing clothes. But a lot of it is kind of like set up, and there's really no space for it in this movie, because the whole damn thing takes place mostly on a boat, and that is Jason Takes Manhattan. It only has those couple of spots. There's a little spot at the beginning. There's a little spot later when someone's changing clothes. There's maybe some, sexual innuendo. But by and large, there's just no room, no place for it. It takes you out of the setting where that would normally be at Camp Crystal Lake. All that kind of stuff. I don't hate this movie, but I don't love this movie. I love a couple of the kills in this movie. I hate that there's suddenly an implication that there's a channel from the lake to the ocean. Where the hell did that come from? Not the biggest fan of Jason Takes a Boat, but it is also a little light on that TNA, a light on the sleaze factor that I feel like is part of the morality tale, part of the exploitation factor of these movies, and it kind of goes hand in hand. This one's a little light, but still a little bit fun. And Jason Takes Manhattan comes in at 12, 11, 10. All right, continuing with our sleaze factor is one that's a bit newer, so you could say, well, that's maybe why, but it was at a spot where, I don't know, a weird point in time. And the movie kind of reflects that, because the beginning starts off with a really big nude scene that is very in your face, and you're like, oh, this is going to set up this movie. And then there's never hardly that much more in there, just a little bit. But next up is Freddy versus Jason. So at the beginning, we're in like Jason's dream, and he's dreaming about, and this is another reason why I hate Part 3's implication. Because Jason punishes those people that are doing bad things, like having sex and stuff like that. And this movie, he's dreaming about it. A girl skinny dipping, which I think is a bigger trope in this series than you realize. She's beautiful, and she gets completely naked, gets in the water, gets out of the water, all that kind of stuff. So you think, man, it's going to show a lot of stuff. It really doesn't. There's one other scene between, two teenagers where it's very cut down, and you kind of see her. It leads up to them sleeping together, and then you see her afterwards go get in the shower. And then there's like a down shot of her in the shower, and for the most part, that's it. There's like a guy that moons somebody, I think, at one point too, but it's just kind of light on that, despite the fact that it starts out like it's going to be strong into it, but it's kind of more towards the bottom third here, and it comes in at 12, 11, 10 at number 9. All right, we're moving up the sleaze factor a little bit, and we're going to the one that started it all, Friday the 13th. Surprisingly light on this. Less than the original Halloween had, and that's what they were trying to knock off. But this was just really just a damn good film. Take it out of this franchise, you could argue. I'm about to get some hate. You can argue this doesn't actually belong in this franchise, that it's a standalone. That really this franchise began with Part 2. The Jason franchise began with Part 2. This is just a solid, great film, overall. A little lighter. It does have a little bit on here. Like there's the scene where Kevin Bacon's in bed with the girl, and just a very, very little. It implies more though, and that they're very randy, and you get the whole backstory about kids doing this stuff, counselors doing this stuff, and that sets up the whole why Jason drowned and all that kind of stuff. So there's a little more talk about that stuff in here, so it kind of kicks it up a little bit. But the one that started it all comes in still towards about the midway part. We're almost about midway in the naughty rankings of Friday the 13th. Now, coming in at next on the list, what are we at? 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. We're going from the original to outer space, baby, with Jason X. And this one has several instances, and it kind of kicks that factor up a good bit. Even when it's supposed to be like a cyborg robot and her nipples fall off, which is hilarious to me. You have this other like hologrammed camp scene where you have two topless girls. You have this other woman that they find nude and they got to take her clothes off. They're running experiments on her, all this kind of stuff. You have scantily clad women in here that are beautiful, and you have a couple that keeps talking about sex a lot. So this one kicks the factor up pretty good. It kicks the camp factor up too. I used to have this at the bottom. It moves up for me just a little bit. Matter of fact, it's above Jason Takes Manhattan for me now, I believe. So it moves up for me. Those tropes it brings back in, you get Uber Jason, but as a sleaze factor, nudity factor, we're starting to kick it up a little bit here now, all the way to outer space with Jason X. All right, coming in at number 6, we're smack dab right in the middle, and one of my favorites of the franchise, Part 2. Part 2 has a world championship level skinny dipping scene in it. Beautiful. There's also another scene where technically you see like full frontal, but it's from a distance and it's obscured by a screen door and stuff like that. And one other instance of like topless. So it definitely kicks it up. This really establishes the skinny dipping trope, which I think is bigger throughout this series than you realize. It happens in a lot of the movies. This really kicks it up with an all-world level long skinny dip. So for that reason alone, and then the others, it kind of comes in here. I think it sits perfect because you start to get a little more front views and stuff, and a little more lengthy on screen of the naughty factor. Part 2 comes in at number 6. Now here's where the controversy starts, because for all these years we have heard that Part 5, done by an adult film director, it is by far the sleaziest, has the most nudity, all that kind of stuff. Actually, it doesn't. And it's pretty more, it's towards the top of the middle, but it is here at number 5, is at number 5. A New Beginning, there's actually only 3 instances of topless nudity and 1 instance of seeing a booty. And that's it. There's no love scenes that extend on, no sex scenes that extend on, anything like that. There's just 3 instances of toplessness, and 1 where you see the girl's booty as her body is laid over after non-Jason has killed her already with like pruning shears or whatever, almost like the burning, right, when he comes down on her. That's it. We don't see any long sex scenes. We don't see any of that stuff. There's no fully frontal views of anything. There's just that, and that's it. Surprisingly, that is it, and that is all. Because it is remembered for way more than that. And to be honest, the only reason that I went back and forth, I think you could really put Part 2 above this because of the skinny dipping scene. But because the other scene, there's like 3 scenes in that too, but one of them is obscured so much by the door. That's the only reason that it is in the spot below, because really it has more than this. Although there's more like frivolous, let's go do it type situations in this that adds to the sleaze factor of it. So that kind of kicked it up too. It's a little less sleazy in the other one. It's just more part of the story. This one is kind of definitely just added in, so it sticks out. And I think that's part of a lot of what this is. It doesn't flow in the story here as well as it does here, and in some of the ones above this. So when it doesn't flow in the story and it feels like it's just thrown in for titillation, for exploitation value, and it sticks out like a sore thumb because of that, you remember it more. Because the ones above this are probably going to shock you when you really see how much is in it and remember how much is in it. But this one, traditionally rated as the naughtiest, the nudiest, all that stuff, it's not. It's down here at 5, and you could argue that it's 6. All right, coming in at number 4 is A New Blood. Again, world championship level skinny dipping in this, so more skinny dipping. You have skinny dipping in Freddy vs. Jason. You have one other instance of skinny dipping in there, and you have more instances of skinny dipping comings. It's a trope, but you know what? It's a trope because if you had a bunch of college-age kids out in the woods unsupervised and they were the adults and they're drinking, having a good time and stuff, that would probably happen. It'd probably happen. So it doesn't stick out as wrong. It seems like, yeah, people get stupid. Yeah. It only takes the one guy to start daring people, and there it goes. But this one stars Lar Park Lincoln. Rest in peace. She just recently passed away. And it has that scene, that skinny dipping scene. And this movie is edited down. Like, if there was an unedited version, if we ever find the unedited version, the uncut version of this movie, it would probably go up even higher. Because even as it is in the nude scene, in the skinny dipping scene, the camera comes up from underneath the girl in the water as she's like treading water. And let's just say it's you see a lot of stuff. And if you saw it in 4K, you would probably see more stuff. And there's a couple of other instances in the movie as well, but that is prolonged, and what you see and the angles you see it, and knowing that some of the stuff was edited out because they were fighting with the MPA at this time, this one definitely jumps up above this one for that one scene alone, because it's pretty long and you see a good bit of things happening. But this one, surprisingly, go back and watch it. Check it out. Of course, I'll try to put anything I got on here. It's going to be censored. I can put the uncensored version on my Patreon. But if you got these, go check it out. When you go back and watch this list, you'll see. And Friday the 13th, The New Blood comes in at number 4. All right, coming in at number 3 on this list, and that, like, the top 4 are 4 of my favorite movies in the franchise, and 2 probably rounds out my top 5. So maybe that's subconsciously what it is, but part of it. But this one is Jason Goes to Hell, coming in at number 3, particularly the unrated cut. Holy smokes. So the whole setup at the beginning of this movie, you have the actress who was in Roadhouse. She is suckering Jason in. She's FBI agent by getting nude at an inappropriate time. She gets naked. She gets in the shower. That draws Jason in. She's running around in nothing but a towel. And then there are plenty of other instances in this movie of nudity, but there is a next level graphic scene that got cut down where a couple is having sex in a tent. First of all, they were skinny dipping again. There was 3 of them, right? And they were skinny dipping again. And these 2 in the tent, first of all, you see 2 women topless, and then the 2 in the tent with the scene. The scene is pretty intense, pretty graphic. Has like some thrusting, humping, all that kind of stuff with the girl and the guy. And then this is the scene that got cut down because she's on top of him. They are going at it. You see all kinds of stuff. And then you get, she does the splits, let's just say. And you have a lot of that. That scene by itself could kick it up this high. But then you have a couple other scenes, like you see a girl in her thong. You have the topless scene at the beginning. You have several moments. And then when you the sleaze factor of the Jason worm trying to be reborn and going back up in things and stuff like that, the sleaze factor is definitely there on this one. Plus, there are like some discussions on the phone that kick up the sleaze factor. This one definitely is a little more sleazy, and then it has that nudity to boot. So no question, it is a high ranker. And Jason Goes to Hell for this type of list comes in at number 3. Now, I had a hard time splitting the next two, and these are my two favorite movies, and they end up at the top of this list. But coming in at number 2 is the remake, the reboot, whatever you want to call it, 2009. Now, the first, like, 15, 20 minutes of this movie, we see, topless women oiling themselves up. It's very campy. It's very purposely talking about having sex, all this kind of stuff. Multiple different people talking about having sex and things like that. And then the gratuitousness of it is there. But then throughout the movie, you have Willa Ford kind of half skinny dipping again. She's skiing. She's just wearing her bottoms. So she's topless. She gets killed topless in the movie. So it's another episode of kind of like skinny dipping here. Then you have the marathon of all sex scenes I've ever seen in the movie between Travis Van Winkle, and I just totally blanked on the other girl's name. The whole "you have perfect nipple placement, baby." A lot of people hate this dialogue. I think he's right on a caricature douche canoe like he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be over the top and ridiculous and make you hate him. That's what he does. That's what he is. That is the purpose of him. If he makes you want to punch him because he sounds stupid and all that, he's supposed to be. He's doing his job right. But they have a nude scene where he's videotaping them having sex that if you count how the time that it goes away and comes back to them, it's well over 10 minutes of screen time as it goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back. And you see her booty, you see her topless, he's got his shirt off, all that, and they are definitely going at it. He's filming it. That adds to the sleaze factor of it all. You have the guy who has like the hillbilly guy on the farm who is kind of like coming onto a mannequin, and he has adult magazines, and that adds to a whole other sleaze factor to it. So you definitely have a lot going on here for sure. And it was because it maybe just has a little less overall nudity than number 1. It has maybe a little more sleaze factor. I actually don't think the number 1 is necessarily sleazy. It just has the most nudity. But this one does have a little bit of that sleaze factor to it, a little sliminess. But I love this movie, and it comes in at 1 or 2 for me overall. My favorites comes in 1 or 2 here, ranked in this way. So it comes in at number 2, and that just leaves 1, and this is a lot of people's favorite of all time, and I go back and forth between this one and 2009 being my favorite. But part 4, the final chapter, Jason the final chapter, or Friday 13th the final chapter, this one has more nudity than I don't know how anyone ever thought that New Beginning had more than this. If the others were championship level skinny dipping, this is elite epic level skinny dipping, because you have multiple people skinny dipping. You have multiple times of people skinny dipping. The first time people skinny dip, well, first off, it starts out with what's supposed to be like a 12-year-old kid that was played by like 14-year-old or 13-year-old at the time, Corey Feldman, peeping out his window, watching neighbors through a window get undressed, to have sex. So that's setting the tone right there. And then later they're skinny dipping, and you have the actress who's the dark-haired girl from Weird Science, and totally just whiffed on her name. Just totally whiffed on it, and I apologize to her. But she's nude quite a bit. You have her, Crispin Glover, you have the Doublemint twins, and 2 other guys all skinny dipping at the lake, and you see both the twins topless. You see the girl from Weird Science, she completely undresses on the bank before she gets in. A guy undresses on the bank. He jumps in. Another guy undresses. He swings on a rope and he gets in. Crispin Glover's dressing. Then you have undressing and getting in the water. You have the twins jumping out of the water, doing a flip over in the water, so they go butt up out of the water. And that's just in one scene. Then later they come across an supposedly old like stag film, an adult film. They're watching it. It goes back to it multiple times, 4 or 5 times, showing people who are topless and stuff like that. You have a sex scene that begins in the shower. So 2 people are getting it on there. You see booty against a shower glass, toplessness there. You see somebody in their full underwear. You see the actress from Weird Science. Again, she goes out by herself, gets completely nude on the bank, and goes in and skinny dips, swims, and gets on a boat. You have 2 other instances. One of the Double Mint twins gets in a sex scene situation, and she you see her topless again. There is a lot in this movie. There is a lot. But here's my theory on why you don't remember this having so much and why you remember Part 5. I touched on it earlier. Part 5 has the reputation of having the adult film director come in and do it. And the nudity in that film doesn't seem to go along with the story quite the same. It seems like it's jabbed in there. It sticks out. It doesn't flow. The whole story of the movie isn't as good. But because of the nature of the rest of the movie with no real Jason and just the flow of it and people getting killed by other people, these scenes feel like they're stuck in. Whereas here in this movie, no, even though it has buckets more nudity and stuff in it than the others, people don't really remember it as such because the story, the filming, the Jason, you switch perspectives a lot. Everything feels more natural. It doesn't feel forced into it, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't belong. The movie switches perspectives a lot too. It's not just with a group of hormone-driven, 20-somethings out there. It switches to Corey Feldman's character's point of view, to little Tom Savini, basically. You switch to his point of view. You switch to his responsible sister's point of view. You got the guy who's out there hunting. You've got his point of view. You've got then you switch back to this group and each one of their different point of views. So it's not just about wild and craziness. There's more substance to it. The Jason's better here. The stakes feel higher. The stakes feel real. You have a parental figure there with the mom. It's a very different feel. It feels natural. Again, you get a bunch of kids, 20-somethings out there. Skinny dipping doesn't seem out of the question. Trying to hook up and have a little house party doesn't seem out of the question. It doesn't even feel as forced as if they were just a bunch of camp counselors and they're just, all wound up all the time and randy and not shirking their responsibilities. This feels more genuine. People just going out to have a good time, and then you have other responsibility. It's shifting perspective, and it fits naturally within the story. And so because of that, I don't think it gets remembered as having as much, but it has way more than Part 5 and has way more than the rest of them all together. Not really sleazy though, in my opinion. Nudity, yes. Sleazy, not so much. So the only reason it was neck and neck with this is because this has way more sleaze factor. But overall, just the sheer amount of nudity kind of pushed this one to the top. So if you've ever wanted to know the Friday the 13th rankings based on which ones have the most nudity or the most sleaziest, steamiest Friday the 13th movies, from those that could be PG-13 all the way up to the hottest and maybe the best movie in the franchise all the way around on any kind of list you want to shake out, you now know it, and that is my list. Definitely different. Everybody ranks Friday the 13th movies to death. It depends on how you feel about them at the time. At least it does with me. My top 2 to 4 pretty much stay the same. But my bottom 4 kind of stay the same. But some things switch around, and this is just a different way to look at it, because I had some discussion with some friends about this, and I was like, well, hell, I'm going to research it and find out. And that's what I did, and I am sharing it with you. I hope you enjoyed it, and don't take it too seriously. It's just for fun. It is true. Like, you can go back and look it all up and see how much has of what if you want to do it. But I did it for you, and I just hope you had a good time with it. And if you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. You can join and support the channel at my YouTube or my Patreon link. At Patreon, you get all the videos like this uncensored over there, so that you can really see what I'm talking about. But no matter what, you're going to get your name and lights on every video, special videos, all that kind of stuff, and it all goes back into the channel, and y'all, I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. Keep your clothes on. When you're in a Friday the 13th movie, better keep your clothes on. I know.